Well, it's time now to bring in today's panel, Sky News contributor and commentator Joe Hildebrand and former political advisor Andrew Carswell. Welcome both of you to the show.
Great to be here.
Now, on the weekend, we heard revelations from an unauthorised biography where Tanya Plibersek suggested she would, not even suggested, she said she would have won the Labor leadership had she decided to contest it back in 2019 after Bill Shorten's loss. That claim prompted this response from Anthony Albanese.
She's been a friend of mine for a very long period of time. I was elected unopposed after the 2019 election. I won in 2022, and I'm very proud of the amazing team that I have.
Joe Hildebrand, Anthony Albanese clearly sidelined Plibersek during the most recent election campaign. Do you think all of this indicates the fact that Plibersek gave those frank comments that she believes she would have won in this unauthorised biography? Do you think she still does hold leadership ambitions? And just the bit of background there, the reason she says she didn't contest the leadership was she had family issues at the time, which she went into a lot of detail about, and we won't go into those details now. But, you know, that was the reason she couldn't run. Now those issues have been dealt with.
Yeah, look, I think it was John Howard's old rule of thumb that everyone in the Australian Parliament has a leadership baton in their knapsack. I mean, even Monique Ryan wants to be Prime Minister, apparently. So if she can hold those ambitions, I'm pretty sure that someone who might actually have a chance of getting there would hold them as well. Look, the truth is that all of what Tanya Plibersek said and all of what Anthony Albanese said is true. It's not exactly a revelation for anyone who sort of knows the inner workings of the Labor Party to know that, Tanya Plibersek would have had extraordinary support in the branches. She might not have had a majority in caucus, but of course, under the new caucus rule, ironically dubbed as such, the caucus only has a weighting of 50% in any leadership ballot. The rest, the other 50% is made up from a vote of the rank and file. And this is where you get into something that I call the Corbyn paradox, which has worried a lot of people in the Labor Party because the rank and file are obviously, almost by definition, far more activist, far more left-wing, far more militant than the MPs who have been around the block a bit before they get into Parliament and have a much more nuanced and rounded view of the world. And so you can have this situation, as you did in the UK with Jeremy Corbyn, where the rank and file keeps electing someone who the general population will never elect as Prime Minister. We've seen the same thing in the US, by the way, on the right, where you rely on the Tea Party, hard right Republican rump led by Donald Trump to get pre-selection, but then the public rejects those people at the actual ballot box. So Tanya Plibersek is a very fine woman. She is nothing like Jeremy Corbyn. She's very, very decent, but I think it is self-evident that for whatever reason, I think she was quietly encouraged perhaps not to run. She had personal reasons as well, and Anthony Albanese is the Prime Minister today, so it tells you everything you need to know.
Well, part of what you need to know, but Andrew, you always look ahead to the next leadership contest because you never know. You're one scandal away from there being a new cabinet reshuffle. Do you think the next leadership contest would be between Plibersek and Jim Chalmers, or do you think Jim is firmly in the box seat now that he's Treasurer?
Oh, I think Jim is certainly in the box seat. But as a politician, there is only ever one reason why you pull out of a leadership contest, and it's not because you want to spend more time with family, or it's not because you want to get behind the vision of the other candidate. It's not because the time is not right, it's because you don't have the numbers. And that was certainly the case for Tanya. I mean, let's not beat around the bush here. She didn't have the numbers. There's reports that she only had 6 votes on the left side of the party. That is her side of the party. And Albanese and Don Farrell had the right stitched up. So it's not a question of pulling out of the race. She wasn't going to win.
Well, she would. I mean, do you agree with that, Joe? Because her account was very personal about what her daughter was going through at the time, and as a mum, she couldn't possibly have led a party while trying to be there for her teenage daughter.
Yeah, and I'm sure that was a genuine concern and factor for her. I have no doubt about that. Again, she's a woman of enormous integrity and very decent. And Kazi is right in that she would not have had the majority in the caucus, but she would have commanded between, I'm told, somewhere between about 60 and maybe even 75% of the rank and file vote.
Rank and file, okay.
So in theory, she would only actually need to get about 1 in 3 caucus people on side. She did fall out with the left. Obviously, Albo controls the left absolutely and runs that machine, and she didn't have the right. But and that was part of the fallout from her running with Bill Shorten last time.
Yeah.
But she would not have needed a majority in caucus to win the leadership ballot.